Happy holidays from my family to yours. Oh, how I have waited and waited to decorate this amazing cake for you all. Yes, comic styled Christmas cake. I can't wait for you to see the process. So I started off with my cake already filled, crumb coated, and had a final layer of buttercream applied. I just used a brush to put some water over the cake. It's very chilled. The water is being used as an adhesive for my fondant to stick. And here I am rolling out a long piece of white fondant. I am using the paneling method to wrap the side of my cake with this white fondant. I applied some cornstarch to the fondant and now I'm rolling it up in a small rolling pin just for it to be easy to be wrapped around the cake. And that is how I did it. With the paneling method, you wrap the fondant around the cake and then you use an X-Acto knife to cut a straight line where the fondant overlaps. And normally I'd make the overlapping be at the back of my cake. So before wrapping the cake, make sure that you've identified the back of your cake. Yes, I think every cake has a back. And that's what I did. I'm just using some water to help my fondant to stick together at the point where it joins. And that will help me to get a kind of a seamless finish. But don't worry, all the decorations that I will be putting onto the finished cake will be used to hide the seam at the back, if there is any, when I'm done smoothing the cake. Here I'm using my X-Acto knife to go around the top of the cake to remove the excess fondant from the top. And then I'm going around the bottom with this very sharp and curved cake tool. I'm just using it to cut away the excess fondant from the bottom of the cake. This works really well for me and I like it. So onto the fun part. I'm going to cover the top of the cake with this bright red fondant. So before I do that, I'm going to be measuring out the top of my cake. So this is an 8-inch cake. So I just put an 8-inch cake board on top of it. And then I want it to have a drip effect. So I'm using my X-Acto knife to just make a wavy line around the fondant, so cutting it out in a drip pattern so that when it falls over the top of my cake, it will look like some red chocolate drip or something dripping down my cake. I'm using the same method. I applied some cornstarch and I rolled the fondant up in my rolling pin, and that is it on the cake. I'm just playing with it a bit. It was a bit too long at one side, so here I am going around it to remove some of the excess fondant. You have to be very fast when you're doing this because the fondant will stick to the white fondant that's already there, and it's bright red, so you don't want it to mess up the design. This is my fondant Christmas tree. So I rolled a long log of fondant. I shaped it like a cone and then I inserted 2 skewers in it just for support, and I'm using my scissors here to cut into the fondant all the way down. And that is my beautiful fondant Christmas tree, using the scissors to help me sit it on top of the cake. As you all see from the beginning, I am creating the comic style cake. So this is a trending cake that has been going around all over social media. So of course I'm going to hop onto the trend, and it was so much fun to make. So that green fondant is my layers. So the buttercream layer between my cake. That's the effect I'm trying to create. And I'm going to add 2 of those onto the cake. These white logs that I'm rolling up should give an effect of a buttercream piping on top of the cake. So I'm just spacing them evenly around. So I go north, south, east and west first, and then I'm filling one in between all of them, and that will give me even placement for my swirls. As you all should know by now, my cakes, they are never finished unless my cake boards are perfectly decorated. Now that my cake board is looking all nice and neat, how can I finish this cake without some beautiful cherries on top of my swirls? Now on to the fun part that we all have been waiting for. I am outlining every single detail of this cake with the black buttercream. So I'm just using some black buttercream. So this is the only buttercream that's being applied to this cake. Everything else is fondant. I could have used black fondant to outline the cake. However, I had some black buttercream on hand and this made my work so much faster. So I decided to go with it. With all the outline going on, you can see that the comic effect is coming out into this cake, and it is so satisfying to do. I did enjoy decorating this cake, and I do hope you enjoy watching this video. Again, my cakes are not finished without a matching ribbon. A matching ribbon gives the cake a look of completion, and that's very, very important to me. Thank you very much for staying with me to the end of this amazing video. Please like, share, and subscribe to this YouTube channel for more beautiful cake decorating tutorials. Until next time, keep on baking.